I mean, it's bad. It really is. It's every single shift, someone's going to die. And, it's every single shift. Let's see, my name is Julie Schaefer. I am a registered nurse, and I've been doing it since September of 1997. Probably one of the hardest things is just how much suffering and lack of getting better there is. Usually, when you have a patient and they're ill, and they're really ill, but then they get better. After a couple of weeks, they go home and they're fine. With this particular virus, if you're sick, you're really sick for a long, long time. And it's hard to see the level of suffering over such an extended period of time. And one of the harder things about that is they don't generally get better. And so you do a lot of really hard work without much of a positive payoff in the end. So that's been one of the more difficult things to deal with. I've been around sick and dying people for 25 years. So that part doesn't feel weird at all. Now, what is maybe a certain level of a little bit of survivor's guilt, maybe sometimes, because I'm very lucky that no one in my immediate family has had to deal with this virus on like my side. And I do feel a little like lucky and a little guilty that we haven't necessarily had to deal with the large ramifications of this virus, but it doesn't really have anything to do with I've been at work and then I come home to normal people, because that's been my work for 25 years. So that part's not that weird. I would agree that it's hard to stay active in family life because the natural predisposition right now is to really not want to do much of anything when I'm off. Only because when I'm at work, it is from the time I clock in to the time I come home, and it's not always coming home on time. It's staying later. It's not getting lunch breaks. It's not getting any breaks, and you're doing it for 13 hours, sometimes 13 and a half. The predisposition is to come home and want to just do nothing and brace yourself for the next round of going to work. It's very hard to be present. You have to really, right now, you really have to work on, it's actively thinking about being present, because that's not the default right now. I'm lucky in that the people in my life understand that I can't be normal right now, and that normal may end up being different. Like what was normal before may not ever be my normal again. And it has taken using some level of communication that I'm not maybe necessarily used to explain why I don't want to go out, why I don't want to do things, why I just sometimes need to be really quiet, that sort of thing. I really can't do spontaneous things. I have to have warning. It's not as bad as it was. It used to be I needed like 3 days notice. I couldn't be spontaneous at all. And I had to have like enough time to like mentally prepare. But there are certain types of personalities I cannot be around right now. Like I have some friends that constantly want to ask me how I'm doing. I don't want to talk about it. I do not want to talk about it. Right now, the way that we're dealing with how painful this is to not talk about it. And somebody was like, well, we just want to help you process your feelings. I'm like, I can't process them right now because I'm still actively going through it. Now, when this is done, maybe. But I don't want to continuously actively process my feelings over and over and over again, because that keeps them too close to the surface and it makes me ineffective at my job. So I can't be around that type of person that wants me to actively emote all the time. I do not want to talk about how I'm doing. I really don't. Because it is it's exhausting. So, I'm comfortable at home. Luckily, my kiddo is a lot like me. She has a very similar personality to mine. So, and Mike, my husband, understands where I'm at right now. And so he doesn't push me for, to talk about it a lot. So he's been amazing. Yes, he really has. He's a nurturer. That's the kind of personality he has at baseline. And so if he knows my week has been bad, which honestly they've all been bad for a really long time, he'll bring me coffee in bed. He'll make me breakfast. He'll make sure I have lunches to take to work. Not that I have time to eat them. I've probably lost 5 pounds since October because I haven't had a chance to have a lunch break at work since October. Maybe even before that. It's because it's just a lot. To the one, most of my colleagues would agree we all have some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. It's just that bad. And so it's really going to be on me to decide how I'm going to deal with that so that the long-term impact isn't quite so long, because I really don't want to carry this with me forever. Because it's awful. So, but yes, 100% this will be with me for a long time. I do good things. I do hard, good things. And, so interestingly enough, about 6 months ago, I was rounding in another hospital. We were talking about some of the coronavirus, screening that we were going to have to do and all of this stuff. And I ran into a NICU nurse. I never see NICU nurses because I work with adults, but I'm over in the women's building talking about all this coronavirus stuff. And one of the nurses, she came up to me and she said, "You don't remember me." She said, "But you took care of my grandma at Murray Regional Hospital 10 years ago. And when she died, you were the most amazingly comforting nurse I've ever seen. And I've never forgotten you. And that is why I wouldn't change what I do. Because these people carry what I've done for them with them for the rest of their lives." And I try to remember that when I'm even when I'm tired and my soul is tired and I'm exhausted, I try to remember that everyone is someone's Gee or Papa, and they deserve to be treated like that. So